Hi, my name is Michael Washco, and I would like to talk to you about the dangers of social media applications on children. Now, it's important to recognize that the number of people using social media has seen a significant increase over the last decade or so, and this is for a variety of different social variables. But again, before we dive into and start to talk about some of the challenges, some of the dangers, some of the things that we need to have good insight about, it's simply important just to recognize that this is a cultural narrative. This is a change in terms of what is going on around us. Specifically, looking at things such as Facebook, looking at Instagram, looking at Snapchat. For me, when I look at the use in terms of Facebook, a social app that I'm very familiar with, we see a significant increase between 2008 up to over 2 billion users in 2019. Now, when we talk about social media apps and we talk about children, one of the hot topics or the hot conversations within empirical research is the debate about whether it is mental health or decreasing mental health that leads to excessive social media use, or is it the excessive social media use that is leading to decreased mental health? Now, what we can all agree on is that there's a correlation somewhere. So I wanted to kind of identify or at least point out some of the key things to be aware of in terms of depressive symptoms and anxiety symptoms. Now, when we look at here, we can see that social media use appears to be a predictive factor in terms of depressive symptoms. And again, that could be for a variety of different reasons. We also see that depressive symptoms can be a positive predictor for excessive involvement in activities involving social media. And again, the key thing we have to keep in mind is that this is important in terms of that individual child or that individual adolescent or teenager, or however you want to look at it. What is it that that social media app is providing that particular individual? Something that I find of interest to me is the idea of the unrealistic expectations that social media puts forth. For an example, in terms of body image dissatisfaction, the idea of the ideal family or the idea of the perfect life, things along those lines. So we see children who particularly may not have very good insight or simply are more and more involved in terms of social media, having lower self-esteem, and again, going back to that body image dissatisfaction. Very similar in terms of our anxiety symptoms. So we see a correlation between boredom, we see a correlation in terms of excessive social media use, and increasing anxiety among adolescents. One of the things also that stands out to me is problematic social media use is typically associated with decreased real-life social support. So there's a variety of different reasons why children will utilize social media, obviously for both positive and negative things, but there's usually something that is missing from that child's life, where they're now turning to social media and not always getting the most appropriate help or getting the most beneficial or the most objective, so to speak. And we see an increase in terms of their depression, their anxiety, or their social isolation. And I see decrease, but it's actually getting worse, is kind of what I'm trying to say. And again, going back in terms of social media can really create peer pressure. It could really put unrealistic expectations in terms of children and contribute to maladaptive behaviors and really create this false sense of self-identity based upon what is it they see or what is it they're told in terms of social media. Now, I want to talk very briefly just to highlight a couple social media apps that I think are important to be aware of as we move forward. Roblox, a social media app that stood out in terms of my research. Online game platform allows users to program games and play games created by others. Now, the concerns that were identified in terms of some of the several news articles that I looked at in terms of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette or Digital Information World or KCEN was a potential for inappropriate adult content. So this particular social app really lacks filters in terms of what kids can have access to and what they can't. And this can often lead to abuse, whether it be online predators, hackers, cyberbullies, scammers. A second social media app was not necessarily a very specific app, but more of a family of apps that I think is essential, that I think is critical to bring to our attention. Apps such as Secret Photo Vault or Journal or calculators, you can kind of see with the number sign, it allows kids to really hide personal information on their phone. Now, this could lead, or this is scary as someone as myself as a father, because it allows kids this potential to be abused, to hide inappropriate adult contact. As you can see here from some of the news stories that kind of narrowed my research in terms of ABC7 or SafeWise, was again, when we look back at the research in terms of depression and anxiety, the more that a child may spend on social media, may is the key word, the more they may get unrealistic expectations, the more likely they're at risk for talking to people that otherwise they may not have, the more easily they may be manipulated, the worse their insight may be. So they may be hiding things that actually could be very negative in terms of their overall mental health, in terms of their overall development, things along those lines. And it's important that we're aware of those. Where some of this information could be hidden, a great example I have up here in the right-hand corner, look like just a normal calculator app on that child's phone, where actually if you put in the right code or you press a certain button, it will actually unlock and you will see hidden information, hidden pictures, hidden browser activity in terms of that child. The last social media app I'm going to touch on is something called Zoomerang. Now, this one really stood out to me because of how popular it has become in terms of giving people the ability to create videos, specifically for Instagram and TikTok. And we all know how widely used those two particular social apps are. And again, they have their benefits, but when we're looking at children, we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those kids and we're not setting them up for harm and so forth. Now, the thing that really stood out in terms of my research when we look at Find My Kids blog or family education is location tracking, or the manipulation of the videos that are being created. So people can change, they can pull different parts out in terms of those videos, and again, pick on kids, or the ability when a child is on Zoomerang to be able to locate exactly where those kids are. Now, I wanted to present some information in terms of the New York State Attorney General's office. Again, I wanted to kind of zero in on my particular state to best help my colleagues in terms of this particular presentation. And I've included Ms. James' contact information, phone, email, website, and the thing I want to highlight down here is the resources. Amazing amount of resources in terms of blogs, in terms of emails, in terms of news stories, in terms of upcoming policy that New York State is trying to do. In addition to this, I wanted to concentrate on the New York field office in terms of the FBI. Now, the same thing in terms of contact information, phone, mail, and again, a plethora of fantastic resources. And one of the news articles that really stuck out to me was this one on sextortion, a growing threat targeting minors. Again, something that we need to be more and more aware of in terms of our children, in terms of their safety and so forth. Now, two particular resources that I highly, highly encourage as a father myself. I use these with my own two 7-year-old twins. The first one is called the App Danger Project. This was created by Professor Levine at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Fantastic app where basically this app using artificial intelligence will scan reviews in terms of social networking sites, on the App Store, on Google Play Store, to simply evaluate the content in terms of words and phrases used in reviews, such as child porn, manipulation, inappropriate. So when you go on this website, literally there's a list of social apps, and it will say next to it whether it's appropriate, not appropriate, age, and so forth, based upon the use of artificial intelligence. The last one I highly encourage you to use, the FBI's Safe Online Surfing Program. Again, I've used it with my own children this week. Fantastic, fantastic, in terms of helping children or teach them to navigate the web safely. It is available in both English and Spanish, age-appropriate lessons, games in terms of covers different types of topics in terms of cyberbullying, protecting personal information, and so forth. I thank you for taking this time to meet with me and to discuss a very important social problem that is facing us currently today. Thank you.